Natalie Portman's personality patterns were not what I was expecting. After 6 hours of research for today's video, here are some of the most interesting personality patterns I found and what I think Natalie Portman's personality type might be.
You know, I have my preparation, it's pretty anal with like, where am I in the story, what's coming before, what's after.
Okay, starting things off, the first personality pattern that was really loud and clear is that Natalie is definitely a planner. A J, judging preference personality type that values structure, likes having a method or process in order to get things done in a more controlled and organized way.
My method is my way of feeling like we're both like military, we're very like, okay, how do we get this done?
The next interesting personality pattern I noticed a lot with Natalie Portman is she uses a lot of introverted sensing. Introverted sensing is a specific way of looking at things, anchoring things, and grounding things that really likes to take account of experiences.
My Harvard degree and other awards are emblems of the experiences which led me to them. The wood-paneled lecture halls, the colorful fall leaves, the hot vanilla at Toscanini's.
Introverted sensing personality types really like to appreciate their past experiences, and they do this thing where when they're seeing something new, they really like to reference back to things that they know. They go sort of like, this new thing, is this connected to anything else that I've seen before, that I've learned before, that I've experienced before? With Natalie, her introverted sensing would pop up all over the place whenever she was answering questions.
All that stuff sort of faded away because I had this experience, and the experience was like, oh, you can't take away from me the fact that I spent 2 months going to the Prado. That was an experience forever that I will never forget.
In her interviews, I noticed Natalie naturally loved telling stories about where she's come from, different experiences and meaningful moments that have made her who she is today, and always in this very clear, detailed, and concrete way that was undeniably introverted sensing.
I'd like to send a message to my teacher. Please, can I have an extension? I really need an extension because I had to come here and I had to work over the weekend and I have this big report due. And I'm just dying.
The next personality pattern I saw a lot from Natalie Portman was a lot of extroverted thinking.
I, of course, wanted to urge him to take joy in the challenge of the game, the improvement upon practice, feeling the accomplishment when achieving the game's goals.
They build these sustainable villages that have schools but surrounded by a sustainable systems.
Extrovert thinking personality types tend to have this knack for systems thinking, being good at zooming out to see the big picture logic behind how things work, how people can use their time, energy, and resources to get things done, how to break things down into steps in order to progress towards their goals. And this makes it so that personality types like Natalie's are often talking about what they have to do, what they need to do, what they're working on and getting done.
It said in the script that I had to skate, so I took skating lessons every day before and after school. So I'd wake up at like 5 in the morning. I'd go skating before school.
How come they didn't come with you?
They've got homework.
Oh, they got homework, yeah. I'm sorry.
Corrupting the youth of America.
What about you? You got homework?
Yeah, but I'm doing it in the green room between, while Alec was
Oh,
talking.
good. Ideal circumstances to be with her.
With Natalie, her extrovert thinking would pop up a lot when she was talking about her work, talking about wanting to make the most of things, not wanting to waste her time or energy on things that weren't necessary, useful, or helpful.
I do well with constructive criticism. I also don't do well with, that was great. Like, that was great is like, not helpful. To see.
No, it wasn't necessary. And it gets across the exact same emotion.
No, I used to, and then I realized it wasn't helpful.
Added to my ability to take the most out of them.
And use it as your asset.
I don't want to work with anyone that I'm going to be clashing with because there's no energy for that on a film.
Over and over again in the clips, I kept seeing Natalie being very straightforward and pragmatic.
I made Jean Reno quit smoking.
Oh, really? How'd you get him to do that? That's really hard to get people to quit smoking.
I told him it was disgusting. And I told him that it's not safe for people around him, and it's not safe for him, and that's it.
Right.
It was interesting because it wasn't like Natalie didn't have feelings, personal convictions about things, causes that she cared about. But something interesting I did notice over and over again from Natalie was she'd consistently have these super impersonal, detached takes on things. There kept being these moments where other people would get upset on her behalf, or where they were expecting her to be offended or to feel really emotionally strongly about things. But instead, Natalie would go, actually, I can sort of see the logic behind how that works, what causes that to happen. Thinking about it, this actually totally makes sense to me. from a big picture, extroverted thinking perspective.
Sometimes what's most fulfilling for me to work on isn't what is popular.
Is that frustrating ever?
No, there's a difference between what is marketable and what is an interesting experience.
Men are like, that was nice, you know? And it was really surprising to me, and I felt like it...
What is wrong with men?
Yeah, no. So when you see that the majority of distribution companies are run by men, majority of studios are run by men, you see that there's a system in place that, you know, they can honestly be judging by quality, which they should be.
Okay, so after seeing these personality patterns showing up in these ways over and over again, I was pretty sure that Natalie was definitely an STJ personality type. But is Natalie more of an ISTJ or an ESTJ? This is where things get a little interesting. If you would have asked me for my honest thoughts after the first couple hours of researching, I would have told you that I was definitely leaning towards Natalie being an ISTJ because that's where the personality patterns seem to be pointing, and I kept hearing about Natalie being quite private. However, after doing a couple more hours of research to double check things and find more sound bites and examples for you guys, I started running into more and more clips that triggered some red flags for me, where Natalie kept saying things that didn't seem like things an ISTJ would naturally ever say. Let's get nerdy and I'll show you some examples of what I'm talking about. If you think about the wiring of an ISTJ, how their personality superpowers all work together. Because their introverted sensing is so strong, ISTJs are really good at slowing things down to think things through. Going like, whoa, wait, what's actually going on? Let me take some time and gather more details. Are there any ways I can use my past experience? I really want to thoroughly take account of things, get to know everything in detail for myself, so I can make sure I'm really prepared and do this properly. ISTJs, because they're so careful about things, always referencing back to their own personal experience, it makes it so they're personality types that tend to be overly cautious, a bit slower to take action. Personality types that can get sort of stressed out, actually sort of overwhelmed when they have to improvise, try doing things a completely different way than what they know, what they're used to, what they have personal experience with. Which, bringing things back to Natalie, is the reason why it really caught my attention when I kept hearing her over and over again saying things like this.
Yeah, I guess if something scares me, it's a clear sign to do it. If I know I can do something, I don't want to do it.
I was so oblivious to my own limits that I did things I was woefully unprepared to do. When Darren asked me if I could do ballet, I told him that I was basically a ballerina.
I like hard things. I like difficult things. I feel like I would be a good soldier.
If you think about how ISTJs really like going about things, Natalie's personality patterns actually don't quite add up, but instead actually perfectly line up with the personality superpowers and patterns of an ESTJ, which is totally not what I was expecting going into this.
I've been working so much, and I think I've gotten into a sort of workaholism that is unhealthy.
You know, when you work a lot and then like as soon as you stop you get sick, my body just sort of gave out, get sort of held together for the film, and then when it was done I was broken.
I mean, think about it, an ESTJ that loves getting things done and making things progress, that leads with super strong extroverted thinking. Something makes so much sense why Natalie talks about sometimes being overconfident about things, liking to jump into new challenges and new experiences.
Being more confident than I should be can be a good thing if it makes you try things you never might have tried. All of these are challenges I should have been terrified of, but my complete ignorance as to my own limitations got me into the director's chair.
I know something like very stupid that I did. There was a huge storm, the biggest storm ever in Israel, and I was like, we're gonna go shoot. So I take the camera crew. So dangerous, not something you should do.
Natalie Portman, she's not someone that likes to slow things down and be extra careful about things, but instead I noticed she's actually sort of good at improvising, adapting, and not overthinking things.
It's really disgusting. And people just like...
Wait a minute, smoking's bad, raw steak is no good. You're crazy. Andy always has a cigarette in one hand and a rabbit in the other. And
Larry King's head between his legs.
You know, something really special and unique about ESTJs is their ability to quickly go outside of themselves in order to get things done. Where ISTJs can sometimes get stuck, feeling overly attached to their own methods and personal experiences, ESTJs tend to be really good at outsourcing, being like, why would I just stick with my own way of doing things? There are so many useful people out there with experiences and expertise that I could use to get things done much better and more efficiently than if I tried going through through every little thing myself.
Have an open ear and use people's best suggestions. You have like 100 people who are there to help you create your vision, and sometimes they have a good idea.
When you have great luck to work with really wonderful people and you do what they tell you to do, it works out well, you know? Jean Reno and Gary Oldman, and then if you just do what they tell you to do, it makes sense.
Lastly, the final thing that I think just super confirms that Natalie Portman is an ESTJ was hearing Natalie talk about growing up and sometimes not feeling very sure of herself, not very clear on who she actually was, separate from her work, the things she was good at doing.
I got in only because I was famous. This was how others saw me. It was how I saw myself. Driven by these insecurities, I decided that I was going to find something to do at Harvard that was serious and meaningful. Neurobiology and advanced modern Hebrew literature, because I was serious and intellectual.
She talked a lot about getting super focused on what she should do, what she had to do, what she was supposed to do, but sometimes forgetting to check in with herself, check in better with, wait, who am I and what do I actually like? What do I want to prioritize for myself?
Achievement is wonderful when you know why you're doing it. When you don't know, it can be a terrible trap. I saw friends around me writing papers on sailing. I realized that seriousness, for seriousness' sake, was its own kind of trophy. There was a reason I was an actor. I love what I do.
You feel like there's things that you have to do, and then one day you're just like, oh, this is what is important for me.
Till eventually, Natalie realized she could slow down and define success for herself by getting to know herself better, listening better to how she actually felt about things, and by pursuing meaningful experiences for herself instead of just chasing outcomes, working on a whole bunch of stuff other people said she was supposed to.
The only thing you can be the best at is developing your own self. I started choosing only jobs I was passionate about and from which I knew I could glean meaningful experiences. I made Goya's Ghosts, a foreign independent film. I made Your Highness, a pothead comedy. I was able to own my meaning and not have it be determined by box office receipts or prestige.
So yeah, Natalie Portman. I was expecting today's video to be my first ISTJ video, but sorry, ISTJs, those were actually not quite the personality patterns I found when I really dug into things. If you guys made it all the way here in today's video, I think you might also really enjoy this sort of secret video right over here. As usual, you can also find some exclusive teaching videos and analysis videos on my website. You are the change maker of your own life. Let's think more deeply. See you guys in the next ones. Peace, peace. Bye.